Okay, thank you for being back on time. We really appreciate that from you. Hopefully some other friends will join us very soon. But for those of you here, may I ask some attention and a round of kind and warm applause for my friend Sabrina, whom is joining us on stage again, not as an MC, but as a speaker this time. Thank you. Again, a reminder that this wonderful person did 14 hours of bus drive because her flight got canceled to be here, okay? So that's what a hero looks like, okay? Sabrina, are you all right? Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm strong again. Yeah,
okay, lovely.
I recovered. So.
Lovely, yeah, I can see good color in your eyes and your face, so that's good. So,
yeah.
Stage is all yours. Thank you.
Ah, that's me. Okay, yeah, thank you. So I'm going to start my presentation. Yeah, okay. So yeah, welcome again, and yeah, thanks for bearing with me on a Friday afternoon, obviously. And yeah, I'm going to talk about somewhere only we know, how to find belonging in IT with diversity. As Lorenzo already said, I'm Sabrina. And yeah, I'm going to share my journey and yeah, some suggestions as well that will make your life better, hopefully. Yeah, so first something about me. I'm Sabrina, I'm a journalist, diversity trainer, Scrum master, hard person as well. And yeah, I went into journalism basically and was working there for like almost 20 years, 22 years. Yeah, in case you would be wondering, 2001, right? Land before time, long ago, and yeah, what happened there? Like 9/11 happened, Wikipedia was founded actually, and yeah, social media and the mobile internet, they just evolved. So like really long time ago. Yeah, so why should you just take advice from me? I was always told like I would be too disruptive, too loud, and also too disabled. Yeah, too disruptive. Okay, I got fired 5 times in 5 years. Yeah, that's some sort of like sad record, but yeah, it happened. Yeah, many different reasons. Obviously, like couldn't cope with hierarchies very well, and then there was a recession, and yeah, many other things. So it happened within probation time that I got fired, and like my last company, yeah, they went bankrupt. So. So it was very difficult for me, obviously, building a career and yeah, saving money and all doing these adult things. Yeah, still don't feel like an adult yet. Yeah, but maybe it's coming, hopefully. Yeah. Also, I was told I would be too loud. Yeah. So my father's from Sicily, from Palermo. That's actually my dad on the very right with his siblings in 1953. Yeah, also a very long time ago. And yeah, maybe you know this, right? So loud voice, you know, very practical thing. You know, you're sitting there on a table with your family and friends eating pasta, and then some cousin of you at the other side of the table says something, you know, and you have to understand this, and then you have to respond, right? So you need the loud voice. Such a good feature for like Sicilian pasta tables, but I work in Germany, and they're always like, oh, your voice is too loud. And I also, even if they don't say anything, they are like, hello. And I'm like, hello. And then they're like, oh, you know, and too loud again. Oh, sorry. Yeah. And also, I live with disability, with chronic diseases, 5 since 17 years. As you can see, hard knock life. And yeah, it takes a lot of a toll, right? Because like since that day that I was diagnosed with all these things, I hadn't had any day without pain, and I hadn't had any day, yeah, where I didn't feel fatigue or whatever, medication and so on, dealing with something. You know, like 17 years, never felt like normal again, you know, and embracing new normal with being disabled. And I've told you too disabled. Obviously, no one would tell you, oh, you're too disabled or something, right? Not officially, right? The official narrative is like, oh, you're so inspiring, right? And oh, you handle things so good, and it's amazing. But, you know, as soon as you start saying, okay, I care about gender-inclusive language, as soon as you say, okay, I need to have some food declaration, I need this and this accommodation, you know, then it's like, okay, so you are a burden, right? also, most people won't tell you, but that's how they think. Yeah, according to research, people with chronic illnesses take 3 times longer to complete the same task as a normal person. So basically, with most of the areas of my life, I'm like 10 years behind. And yeah, there is no, in case you should be affected in some way as well, yeah, there's no way to deal with it. Yeah, you just try and then do, how we call it in Scrum, inspect and adapt. Yeah, so what about naps? What about remote working? What about starting at 11? These are all the things I need, right? And currently, I find a boss, and he said, yes, we're going to find a way for you, and we managed that. But it's still very, very difficult. And here, I did 2 screenshots of a person who were also struggling with that. One says, a decade ago, I was nearly fired from a long-time job because my sleep disorders make me unreliable. Today, I'm a higher stakes job where my clients know not to expect mornings from me, and I get ridiculously good reviews. Lack of accommodations made me unreliable, not disability. And here's a second activist that I follow on LinkedIn and can really recommend that to you, Julie Harris. And she also said, I've been fired from almost every full-time job I've had. So, what to do? And I was also making some assumptions today about you, and I thought maybe I could do something for you, but let's see. So maybe you know this situation, right? Like you want to say something, but yeah, there's a missing link. Also, maybe people have told you to be more open. Yeah, but you are somehow like this. Yeah, maybe not open as you wish to be, right? Maybe it also feels like everyone is the same. Right? Except you. Yeah. Even dating as a software engineer can come with pitfalls. Unfortunate, I would say. Yeah, so maybe it just feels like the world isn't simply made for you. Yeah, and even worse, it feels you have to develop strategies to barely survive. Yeah, but help us here. I've got you covered. Yeah, maybe you know this. This is Sabrina, the witch. It's a very famous series in the 90s. And yeah, she's solving all the problems with witchcraft, and that's also what I'm trying to do today. And yeah, it's the diversity edition of Sabrina, the witch. Yeah, if you like horses more, I can also be a horse if you like. So yeah, when life puts you in tough situations, don't say, why me? Just say, try me. So you can choose wherever you would, like the witch more or the horse. Yeah, and the good thing is friends and wisdom come in all shapes and sizes. You see here some figures from the workplaces, and yeah, they really support each other. Right? And they find ways to support each other with the means that they specifically have. So even here, maybe for the pasta lovers of you, this is the rigatoni, waiting for the macaroni. And then he said, yeah, but you don't look like my friend, right? But then he takes the headphones off and says, oh, rigatoni, right? So maybe if you don't accept some shapes and some friends, but they are still there, right? Although they don't look like that. Yeah, so solution time. First thing, people manual. People manual is something that a colleague of mine has introduced called Franziska Haug. And actually, it's an approach where you basically describe yourself and where you normalize needs, right? You say, okay, what do I need to thrive at the workplace? What's important to me? What are my interests? And what do I need to thrive at the workplace? And actually, if you wouldn't be normal, right, you would need to talk about this, right, and only then. But if you normalize that, right, and everyone is talking about this and the needs and the things that they need, so yeah, that would be normalization and could help. Yeah, second is you remember the picture with the missing link, right? There was something called wheel of emotions, because sometimes we have some sort of feeling, but not an exact one, right? And this approach actually helps us to say, what sort of sad is it? What sort of happy is it? What sort of angry? Because if we can really articulate that, we might feel relieved a bit, because, yeah, we can name things finally. Yeah, another thing, empathy canvas. You can use this rather for a self-assessment for yourself and say, okay, what do I hear? What do I need? What do I say? Or also for clients, for teams, or whatever, right? You can use it also to build empathy personas. And here's a quote as well that says, one doesn't have to operate with great malice to do great harm. The absence of empathy and understanding are sufficient. Okay, so next, time to help, don't make assumptions. The best accommodation you can give a disabled or neurodivergent person is to believe them. Believe them when they tell their needs, diagnosis, capabilities, experiences, and so on, right? I mean, I think you also had this experience a lot. You say something to someone and they're, is it really like this? You know, and it's so hard because then you feel, okay, I really have to fight against this. Also a very common thing, you don't look disabled. Okay, very sad, right? I don't look disabled enough. But obviously there are many, many chronic diseases and you don't see them, right? So it's really mean to make these assumptions and judgments on others. So assess your bias as well. So yeah, here are some suggestions what you do. For example, make a list of the last 3 books you have read or films you have seen, and think of, like, who would the authors be, and do you have a preference for certain perspectives, and so on, because obviously often we watch series and so on, and read books and films who are written by people who are like us, basically. So it's about representation. And yeah, think about also who's in your in-group and how it would feel if people from the outside would be part of your in-group. So think of people, yeah, with heavy disability or homeless people and so on. And imagine you would just talk to them every day, you would just meet them, and how would it be, and how would your life change? Yeah, again, don't be mean. So this is a very, very good list. I like a lot. So I did it. Why can't you? Happened to me a lot. Also, this isn't how we do things here. Yeah, that's why we want to try to get better. Also, something that has happened to me a lot. If I allow that for you, I have to allow that to everyone, right? I mean, what sort of workplace would it be if everyone would just take naps in the afternoon, right? Or yeah, we would die maybe. Or if, yeah, everyone would just start at 11, you know, like in office jobs, right? What would happen? Nothing, you know, but people are like, oh my God, you know, if we would allow that, oh no, so bad. Yeah, and that's also a sweet community picture I like it says, do not accept if seal is broken, but yeah, then if such a sweet seal comes out, then just say, okay, no matter what seal you are, we accept you wherever the way you are. Talk about belonging to others and ask yourself, can you bring your authentic self to the workplace? Can you share diverse thoughts without hesitation? Do you feel connected to each other? Does everyone have a fair chance to become a leader? And so on. Yeah, you can take pictures, very good. And yeah, just go to your bosses and so on and say, this is what I want and why we are not there. Yeah, another thing, this is a very nice colleague of mine. Her name is Marcy, and I've met her at the We Are Developers Conference last year in Berlin. And she does this like inclusive code and inclusive UX design. And obviously, I'm not a developer, so I can't dig very deep. But so here was one thing with the icons, you know, like what's the default mode and what's perceived as a neutral one, right? And being like white seems to be the default mode, and the other thing is just stuff you can select, right? But we are the whites, the one who are the default mode. This is about coding as well and reading. You know that many cultures, they don't read from left to right, right? Like we do, or from the top to the bottom, right? And what does it mean actually for usability, right? It means a lot. So she says, create your own inclusive design systems with pictures, images, photos, and so on. Yeah, so if you want, and if you're not there yet, you can also encourage your company to do a DEI strategy, or start with smaller with employee resource groups. Employee resource groups are, you know, you're just collecting people and say, okay, I have some sort of interest or some sort of character, whatever, and yeah, let's make a group out of it. You know, you can build a group of females, build a group of people with disability, queer community, and so on, and yeah, you can feel some sense of belonging there, and it's a very like low-key solution if you don't have a company setting up a DI strategy. Yeah, maybe you heard also of nonviolent communication. An interesting model that says share your observation, feelings, needs, and make a request. And especially when you are very angry, might help you, right, to follow this model here, saying, when I see, experience, I feel, because my need for X is not met, would you be willing to, because, yeah. Often when we would be angry or overwhelmed or whatever, you know, things are coming to our minds and we just start talking. That might not be the best idea always, I can tell you from my own experience. So, yeah, this could be something to help you access your feelings. Yeah, another small tip I have for you, say, this is important to me, or the opposite, I don't feel comfortable with that. Right? Because saying things like programming language X is the best suited for this, you know, it's always difficult because it's an objective statement and you can discuss that, right? But there are many situations in life and you feel not right and you can just say, this is important to me, or I don't feel comfortable with that. Because actually no one can question your feelings, right, at the first place. So no one can say, oh, I don't feel comfortable, and people are like, oh, but you should feel comfortable, right? No one has the right to do this at first sight, and this is also something where you can make space for yourself, right? And say, okay, this is important to me, or don't feel comfortable with that. Yeah, so speak up for others who can't, right? But with a mandate, obviously. So obviously you know this, like people say, I'm okay, and basically this can mean, yeah, everything. Right? I'm really okay, I'm not okay at all, or everything in between. My solution is, I call it verbal call to action. You can say, it seems to me that, what do you think about that? You can say, you can ask for reassurance and say, is this what we want to do? Or people in a group who haven't said anything yet, what do you think about X? And or you can say, how can I recognize that you are happy, that you are satisfied, right? Like help me understand you, and just ask people actively, like, what would be the signs where I can know that you are satisfied or happy, or don't have consent. Yeah, help. Maybe you know this problem here. Yeah, you ask someone, how are you? Great, and obviously nothing is great, but yeah, somehow like I tried to show you some examples before, yeah, how you can assess this. And somehow you might think, okay, do I really make a difference? And yeah, maybe for someone you really make a difference. Although maybe they can't show you or they can't tell you, but it still might be the case. Okay, so talking about autism, half of the autistic people feel unable to ask for accommodations at work, and only 2% of employers actively reach out to ask what autistic people need. Yeah, so this is the whole neurodiversity wheel. So many things all at once. And yeah, I read a very good comment on LinkedIn here, like telling an autistic person that they need to work on reading a room is not neutral feedback, or be more outgoing or whatever, because this is actually part of the, if you want to call it disability, or yeah, just being different, right? And that's not fair. Yeah, because if you feel like you wouldn't be enough, and would you try to hide this? But if, and yeah, the disclaimer is obviously the more intelligent, the more worse it gets, because the more intelligent you are, often you think more like, what would others think, and how could I empathize, and yeah, trying to find answers. Yeah, but obviously I don't want to tell you what to do. Goals in life are different for everyone. Right? Okay, so, but what if you are not less, but what if you are more, right? Because the interesting thing is that studies just recently have found that autism, for example, or the autistic spectrum is actually not a disability. It's said here in a current study published in Science Direct, an adaptive common variant pathway, right? So there was something called like social theory of disability, and basically it says that all sort of disabilities are socially constructed in some ways, right? Because we just see it as that, but we don't really know what this really is, because if inclusion would be real, right, these things wouldn't be seen as disability. Yeah, okay. For today, choose one concrete action. I will rather educate myself about other experiences and show empathy, use respectful language, run inclusive meetings and give people space, stop interruption and give honest credit, interrupt microaggressions and make honest compliments, admit mistakes openly, and speak up for someone who got discriminated. Yeah, so with my trainings, usually I'm a diversity trainer, and yeah, I try to give people something out of my training right away, and usually I ask them to pick one. So I'm also asking you now to pick one. Okay, because often we feel we are like this cup, right? We are like, okay, I feel lost and I can't hear anything myself, and then we need this tea bag, right? And this tea bag jumping and say, okay, I believe in you. Yeah, because why this? I would try to encourage you to be part of the change so that the future of belonging looks like this. This is a cafe in Japan, and they hire paralyzed people to control robot service so they still have an income, right? And this is something obviously seen as futuristic or something, but people with disability, they dream of something like this, and they dream that something like this would be normal, right? And then I also want to encourage you today to make this more normal. Yeah, but why do you deserve self-compassion? Why? Yeah. You know, what has impressed me the most when I went to IT 2 years ago? Maybe some ideas, but I see I only have 2 minutes left, so I'm going to tell you. Yeah, radical problem-solving mindset has impressed me the most. With my second job, I joined an automotive company, obviously in Germany, and it took me 3 weeks to get a company access, right? It was like 2,000 factor authentication, and really tried it, and there was a solution architect, and he tried to find a solution for me every day, and it did not work. And I finally thought, okay, if I just start crying, you know, they would just realize that I just want to give up. And then every day ended he saying, okay, we didn't find a solution today, but maybe tomorrow. And yeah, I've been talking to a colleague, and he had a similar problem, and maybe we got a solution. But every day. And I was like, how can you be so sure? You know, if today there was no solution, if there was no solution since 1 week, that next week there was a solution? And he actually was, and I still felt like crying. In the end, it has worked out after 3 weeks. And yeah, and this was what amazed me the most, right, in IT. Saying, okay, amazing, 1 week of bug fixing, that's something I really look forward to, right? Reading a 50-year-old code that no one can read anymore. Yes, that's what I want to do. Sitting in some sort of like IT support, right? Like telling people how to plug their computers in, right? That's what I want to do. And even being patient with that. Like, how do you do this? Wow. Thank you for that. 2 last slides.
Thank you, Sabrina. That was an amazing talk. And yes, a very, very well-deserved applause from our public. Are there any questions that you would like to ask to Sabrina? Any questions in the audience? Thank you.
Hi, thanks for your speech. Question by me. Do you feel like your colleagues helped you in finding a way out to talk with the highest level of your companies or not? Because I have this kind of experience, not directly to me, but to a colleague of mine. And he really tried so hard to make understandable for everyone else that he was really in trouble with things explicitly. Nothing hidden. Nobody in my company had to ask if he was in trouble or not because it's so evident. And he also tried to communicate this. But he really found like a big hole around himself.
Yeah.
With no one trying to help, no one trying to make a step further to stay with him and so on.
Yeah. That's why I made this talk today, you know, like if this is the case for you, you know, like how could you find allies, right, to not feel alone and, you know, the house without windows and all these things. Yeah, that's the reason. And also like to give these people hope, right, that they like could be others who would encourage them and who would stand with them and who built an ally with them. I told you, like, I've been fired 5 times in 5 years, right? I mean, this alone is something that can destroy people forever. So I totally understand this, and this is why I'm here to make these things better for him and for others as well.
Thank you, Sabrina. Any other questions in the audience? Okay, I've got one for you. So, Sabrina, what do you think about companies getting some kinds of certifications to enable themselves on paper about caring for people, for example, but then not really complying with what the certification goes for? Have you noticed anything like that in your experience?
Yeah. Until I got my current job, I did 140 applications. Yeah, 140 applications. And obviously with companies who also said, okay, we are so diverse and so on. And and then they were talking to me in a job interview and then they were not, right? And there was a study actually that says that maybe you know these unconscious bias training that you can do. Actually, they last about 2 months, right? They last about 2 months, and then you basically forgot everything, and then you are back to your old self. Yeah, and it's a huge problem, right? We say that culture change takes 10 years.
So, can we say that we are supposed to be the change that we want to see in the outside? Can we say that?
Yeah, was it Gandhi or something?
Yeah, probably, could be.
Yeah, it was this quote, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, with that, all I can say is thank you. And of course, you definitely earned to be an open source championess. And yeah, that's it. A big round of applause for our friend Sabrina. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.